There are two different types of people who are trying to achieve goals. Number one is the person who knows what they're doing. They're on the path. They have the certain work ethic that they need to be doing, and they're just not there. Meaning they have a few more weeks, months, years possibly to be achieving and reaching their goals, but they have not yet hit it. On the other hand, you have people who just don't even know where to start. They might not even know what goals that they want. And this video, this podcast is going to be all about that person. So if you are somebody who has been stuck, who is trying to figure out what it is that you can start to do to get yourself on the right path to hit the goals that you want to hit. It's like not like talking about things that like are crazy. It's like the stuff that you just know you can and should be doing. Just a little bit of time and a little bit of patience, a little bit of discipline. You're going to be able to hit those goals. That's who we are talking to tonight. So let me know if you have any questions down below. Feel free to reach out if you have anything specific you want me to be speaking about. But here we go. Let's jump into it. So when it comes to goal setting, one of the biggest places that I find most people, and for me personally, the biggest place that I get stuck is just really just getting clarity. And I think for so many people, they don't realize that if they could get clarity, things are going to just be so much easier. It's like you ended up as a kid getting a box of Legos and you end up putting out all the pieces and you have, I don't know, like 300 pieces, let's say, to build this Lego. So if you don't have the instructions, there's just no possible way you can actually do it. Can you figure it out? Maybe, yeah, okay, but are you going to have extra pieces? Yeah, most likely. Are things going to be in the wrong place? Most likely things are going to be in the wrong place. So what we have to try to do is we have to realize that if we could just get clarity, get a little bit of direction in terms of where does we want to be going, things are going to just be so much easier because then we can figure out what the steps are, which is going to be step number 2 or 3, which we'll talk about in a second. But understand that getting that clarity is going to be so important. For so many people, they don't know what that clarity looks like. They have no idea what it is they really want. They are so vague with their goals. And the more specific that we can get, the better off we're going to be. So for example, if you want to say, I want to be financially free, what does financially free even mean to you? Lots of people can live off $200,000, $300,000, $400,000. So instead of setting a goal that you want to be making $1 million, why don't you just set a goal for something smaller? Why don't you try to build up to that? Why don't you say in the next 5 years from now, I want to be making $100,000. I want to be making 6 figures, which is pretty reasonable for most people. And I would say most people because I think everybody can do it. There's just like that random like unicorn who doesn't or can't do it for some whatever reason. And what we have to realize is that if we can start to set ourselves up, and regardless of your situation, so that means whether you're like have a million priorities going on, if you could start to do things really slowly, you could get there. Think about it. There are people who are making billions and billions of dollars, okay, even $1 billion or even hundreds of millions of dollars, and they have the same amount of time as you do. So do you not think if you could just take a small percentage of that time, you can't be making $100,000 over the course of 5 years? Like you could probably figure it out. The thing is, like, we just can't because every time we try something and it doesn't work, we end up beating ourselves up. Well, those people who try things and it don't work, they keep going. They learn from it. They're getting the feedback quicker. And what we have to realize when it comes to learning, when it comes to becoming the person that we want to be becoming, we have to learn. How do we learn? As Alex Hormozi loves to say, so we have to change our action. If you are doing the same thing and getting the same result, you are not learning. And as Jim Rohn likes to say, if you keep doing the same thing, waiting for things to change, you can be delusional. We cannot be delusional. We have to be taking the action that we want to be taking to allow ourselves to become the people that we want to become. And if we're not getting the feedback, then things aren't going to change. And we have to realize is that a lot of times we don't even know where we are. We don't know which level we're in. It's like when you have, I don't know, if you're going to like college or maybe even going to high school, you take a math placement test. So what's the whole point of a math placement test? It's to know which level you're in. So then they know which class they should put you in. Because if you're in a higher class than you should be in a lower class, then what's going to happen is you're going to get totally left behind. You're not going to have the basic, you're not going to have the fundamentals, and therefore you're not going to be able to succeed in the class that you want to be getting into. So they give you a test to be able to understand and try to see where it is you are. And if we could try to figure out where it is we are and understand what is it we're doing, then all of a sudden, then we could start to learn and build the foundation. Because just because somebody's in a higher class because they're on a different level of math doesn't mean in 5-10 years, they're not going to be on the same path. What we have to try to figure out is where are we? Stop wondering about being in the honors class, if that's your type, or being in the lowest class, if that's your type, whatever, you know what I'm talking about. So we have to try to figure out where it is that we're going to be to allow ourselves to become the people that we want to become. So who is it that you want to be? Where is it that you really are? And be realistic with it. Stop trying to fit in to another type of area because you want to be there already. You'll get there. Be patient with it. Understand, trust in the process, trust in yourself that you're going to be able to get there and will be able to finally get there. That is what we have to try to understand. Because what happens is a lot of people look at Joe, they see Joe is doing so much more, and therefore they want to get into it. They see Sarah, who's already investing in real estate, and she's buying multifamily properties, 40, 50, 60 units, and therefore I have to jump into real estate and buy 40, 60 units, especially when Sarah tells me that you can do it too. But guess what? You have no idea how financing works. You have no idea how construction works. You have no idea how management works. So why is it that you're going to be successful? You have to try to put yourself in a position where you can become that person. And it might be, in 6 months from now, I'm going to educate myself, and that's enough. But guess what? Most of the time, even when we educate ourselves, and this is like the cool thing that I only figured out after I started doing sales, is that you can educate yourself up the wazoo. You can read every single book. But the biggest education you're going to get is going to be putting in the field. It's to be putting yourself out there. It's to be getting that experience. Because once you have the experience, then you know which track you're in. That's the magic. That's what we have to try to figure out. Because if we could try to figure out what track we're in, then all of a sudden things are going to be different. Because if we could step in to whatever it is that we're going to be doing, and then we can take the track to do things that we want. So in 6 months from now, or 6 years from now, we could look back and say, hey, guess what? I'm also investing in 40 to 60 unit buildings. That's what we have to try to do. And that's what we have to try to see when it comes to the places that we want to come to. So when you're trying to set your goals, you have to get clear with it. And you have to know where you are. Be realistic with where you are. The next part is commitment, and this is a big one. This goes for everybody in every area. You have to commit to your goal. And if you're scared to commit, guess what? It's scary to commit. You don't have to commit for your lifetime, but commit for a reasonable amount of time to see some success. I'm not saying you have to commit for a year. Commit for 4 weeks and actually commit for 4 weeks. Most people say they commit. Most people love saying the word commitment, but they have no idea what commitment really means. We commit until period, and that's it. We have to commit and we have to do. Give yourself a small goal. Build that self-esteem. Build your confidence that you can start to do what it is that you want to be doing, but recognize that you have that ability, and all you have to start to do is start to commit with what it is that you want to be doing. Because once you start to commit, then you could step into it bigger and better. So what happened when I started my podcast? I wasn't committing to over 200 episodes. And wherever you're listening to this, maybe I'm up to 500 by now. But right now, I'm over 200 episodes. I wasn't committed to 200 episodes. I committed to 21 episodes because I heard that if you do 21 episodes and you post them, then you're in the top 1% of 1%. And that was something that I wanted to hit. And I thought that was pretty cool. And guess what? Then I kept doing more and more and more. And then I hit 50 and 60 and 80 and 90 and 100. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that I did 100 episodes. And then I look back and I'm like, keep doing it and keep doing it. And there's like 200 episodes. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm doing this for a year already. This is amazing. And that is something that I look to do, but I didn't commit to 200 episodes because once you get into the momentum, once you start doing it, it becomes easy to you. It becomes part of a process. You start to learn skills and you can start to tweak it to get better at it. Because so many people love to start setting goals and they want to be the best already. They want to start learning to play guitar, but then they want to be able to play in a concert of 500 people, 5,000 people. 500 is probably not as much as 5,000 because 5,000 is a bigger number, but you know what I'm saying? So we need to try to figure out what is it that I can start to do? Because once I start to get good, once I start to be consistent with it, then I can start to tweak things. Personally, when I started the podcasts, I didn't know what I was doing. I had no idea. I was scared to speak on camera. I remember my first live that I did. I was petrified. I literally had nobody show up to it. I think my mom did. But that was about it. And what I realized is that if I want to get good at this thing, if I want to start speaking about it, then I have to get used to doing it, get comfortable on camera, and then I have to start tweaking the skills so that I can start learning skills and I can start educating myself and start implementing those skills into the things I'm trying to do in order to become the person I want to become in this specific role. So what is it that you want to be doing? Is financially, do you want to be in a different place? In your relationship, do you want to be in a different place? Your own personal self-growth is fulfillment. Do you want to be in a different place? Do you want to be a happier person? Know where it is you want to be going. You could set goals that are physical, spiritual. You could set goals that are only going to be helping you in different areas of your life, but you have to set those goals. So many people are just waiting for things to happen. They're just living a random life. The people's lives are random. They're so random because they're just so not focused on it. And I get it. You can't focus on everything, but focus on one thing. Focus on one thing specific. Say, hey, you know what? During this next 6 months, I'm going to be focusing only on my happiness. And I'm going to read every book I can read. I'm going to start implementing all the different things. I'm going to listen to only podcasts on happiness and really just focus on that. I'm not going to get distracted by everything else because guess what? There are a million things you could be working on. There are a million goals you should be setting for yourself, but you can only really hit 1, 2, or 3 at a specific time. Once you start going more, you start spreading yourself too thin. Pick one and just do it. And do it specifically day in and day out. Because once you start to do that, then you're going to start to see success. You're going to look back and you're like, oh my gosh, this is easier. Then all of a sudden, the amount of time that you're spending with the happiness thing is you're going to already have your routine. You're going to be able to do what it is you need to be doing to become that type of person. And then all you have to do is just do that small thing that's already part of your habit already. And then you can pick up another habit that is a little bit more difficult, a little bit more uncomfortable. And then you can start to become that person. And that's where the magic's going to happen, because then you're going to build and build and build and build. And then all of a sudden you have this monstrosity where you look back, everybody looks back at you, which we shouldn't do for anybody else. But you're going to look back and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I'm so grateful that I did this. So because there's so many people, they do not understand that they just have to do it slowly. The reason why I delayed success in certain areas of my life, and trust me, I got ways to go and I'm very far apart from where I want to be going. So I'm not saying this as a boast, but one of the reasons why I delayed it so much is because I kept waiting to be able to do the skip. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and I'm very efficient with my time. I'm very, productive. I'm very disciplined. So I'm going to skip the line. I'm going to do so many different things. I'm going to learn how to get around this thing. And guess what? Certain areas of my life, I did do that, but that only enabled me to start thinking I could do that in other areas of my life. And guess what? It didn't work until I realized, you know what? I got to slow down. I need to slow down to speed up, as Coach Rich Litvin likes to say. Because once you can slow down, once you can see what's going on, once you can learn the skills, once you can become the person that you want to become, then all of a sudden, you're going to look back in 6 years from now, 10 years from now, and you're going to be, I am so happy I did that. And for so many years, I was looking to skip. And because I was skipping, I was being indecisive. I had so much self-doubt because I didn't have the skills. I didn't have the confidence to back it up. And because of that, I delayed my success. It literally took me 10 years to write a book, and then to start writing a book, and then 5 years to get it published. That was a whole nother story. But at the end of the day, there's no reason why I delayed that for so long. I was waiting for the perfect time, when I probably had more time when I was younger without a family. And what we have to try to understand is, what is it that we want to be doing? How is it that we can be putting ourselves in the position that we want to be? If there are certain things in our life that we want, it could be financially, it could be personally, it could be other types of professionally, it could be giving back to others, or whatever it is, we have to get clarity. We have to look to break it down. We have to look to become committed to it. And then the biggest thing is that we have to take action. And you might be saying, Bennett, that's so obvious I have to take action. That's the problem. I don't know what action to take. And that's what I speak to most people about. It's like, where do I start? And I always ask them the question. This is the magic question. So if you don't know where to start, and you need to be doing something, and maybe you have a little bit of clarity, and we're going to assume you have clarity now, because now you just need to dream a little bit. Think like a kid a little bit to come up with this imagination of a life that you want. Allow yourself. I give you permission to do it. So now you have this ability to become this type of person. And now you're trying to say, okay, now what do I do? I want to build a real estate company. Right? I want to have the most amazing marriage ever. Right? I want to become the most healthiest I've ever been in my whole entire life. I want to get a six-pack or guns. I want to get these muscles, right? What is it that you want to be doing? Now you have that idea. Now you're like, well, where do I start? I know what I want to be doing. By next summer, I want to be X, Y, and Z. The next 6 months, I want to be already looking to buy my first property. So then I'm going to ask you this question. What action do you think you should be taking? You know your life better than anybody else. You know the connections that you have. You know the people that you know. You know different opportunities, different experiences, other people who've done what you want to be doing. And if you're saying, well, Ben, I literally have no idea anybody who's done it. So what is the first step you need to be doing? What YouTube video do you need to be watching? What book do you need to be reading? Which area of your life do you need to be taking a little bit step closer? What's something uncomfortable that you don't want to be doing? And that's where we need to start. People think that they need to be given a plan, a sheet that they have to be doing X, Y, and Z, and they don't realize that everybody's plan is different. People come within a plan that worked for them. Yes, it works for them, and it might work for you too, but everyone's starting at different levels. We already spoke about that. Everyone's coming into math on a different level. And what we try to do is we try to put people in a class. But really, that class is not ideally for you. It's ideally for a bunch of people. But what we have to try to do is try to figure out, where is it that we can fit? What are the things that we need to be learning in order to get ourselves into it? And then once we start educating ourselves, then guess what? We have to tap our feet into it. Because once we tap our feet into it, then we're going to get the feedback we need, not the failure, the feedback we need in order to step more into it. So who is it that you're becoming? Where is it that you want to be going? And what is the next step you need to be making? Because if you can really ask yourself that question, and ask yourself that question, I'm asking that question. What does it need to be doing? What is the next thing you need to be doing? Who's that person you need to be reaching out to? What's that book you need to be finding out? Who's the person you need to ask about which book you need to be reading? Right? The person who's so successful that, you know what, you can't ask them to help you, but maybe you can ask them to like refer you a book or refer you a podcast to listen to. And then you start to take ideas and start to get movement, and then you start to understand things in a different way. Then all of a sudden, bam, we have momentum. We have action. 3 weeks ago, I was in a very different place. I was so lost, and now I have some direction. I know which way I'm going. I know I'm going west. I know which avenue I'm going down. And then all of a sudden, we have this ability to move forward. If you're looking to crush your goals, if you're looking to become the person that you want to become, if you're looking to step into the life that you want to be stepping into, stop worrying about where to start and start. Indecision is the thief of opportunity. Stop worrying about what you should be deciding and just decide. It's more important to move, to get that traction, to take that action. Because once you take that action, it leads to more action and more action and more action. And that is what we're looking for. We all have the ability to be doing so much more. And yes, it's uncomfortable, and sometimes it's tiring and it's exhausting, and we have no idea what it is we want or need to be doing. But understand that if we have this ability to move forward, if we have the responsibility for ourselves and the people around us, the priorities around us to do the things that we want, that's going to be the thing that's going to shift it all. And guess who it's on? It's on us. Nobody's come to save us. Nobody. We have to do it for ourselves. We have to take that action for ourselves. Do it for the future version of you. Find it for your spouse. Find it for your kids. Do it for somebody else. Because a lot of times we don't want to do things for ourselves. We don't want to do things for us. Because we'll be fine without it. But hey, my kid, you touch my kid. We're talking about my kid's future. That's a different game. There's a little hack there you can try to step into. But understanding we have the ability, look to commit, look to get clarity, look to take the action. Because once you start to take the action, things start to shift. You start to move forward. And you really start to take the steps in the right place, and you have the ability to move forward. I'm sorry I'm so passionate about this. Just so many people are just sleeping. They're just wasting their time, wasting their life. They're waiting for someone to make a decision for them. You decide, you live your life. You own it, trust in yourself, and be able to do all the things that you want to be doing. See you all in the next one. If you have any questions, like always, reach out. Peace out.